यं हि न व्यदयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोऽमृतत्वाय कल्पते.
Chapter 2, Shloka 15. The man for whom these do not trouble or pain, O lion-hearted among men, the firm and the wise, in pleasure and in suffering, becomes apt for immortality. Arjuna is overcome by grief born out of attachment to his loved ones and colored by emotions. He is recoiling from the battle. A contradiction of the being is called jujupsa, when the being recoils from what is meant to be done because of attachment, fear, emotion. But this has to be transformed into titiksa, which is a certain equanimity of the being. This equanimity of the being is one of the first requirements on the path of yoga. The reason being, yoga is about exploration of the inner regions of who we are, about communion with our true and divine selves. And if we are constantly reacting to the happenings in our lives, then we cannot be honest in our inner work. We cannot be honest in our prayers towards the divine. We cannot even see or sense the spirit, the soul, the divine within ourselves, because we are so colored. It is for this reason that Western psychology and the scientific paradigm looks at subjectivity with a hint of doubt, because a lot of time subjective explorations are very colored. But if there has to be an honest, subjective, deep dive into a consciousness, then the first characteristic is that of equanimity. Only if there is equanimity is there a right perception of things. Listen to this very carefully. Only if there is equanimity is there a right perception of things. Otherwise, we as human beings are very apt at fooling ourselves and fooling others. Sometimes, angrily, we are fighting a battle for justice, for truth. But behind it, there is anger and pain that has just colored one's perception. A true fight for justice has force, but not anger and reactiveness. And that's very, very difficult to do, because much of the time we access energy and force through limited human emotions. The problem with these limited human emotions of sorrow, of grief, is the fact that they're born out of egoistic, self-centered, limited, narrow perceptions of our being. Until the time we are attached to that narrowness of our being, we cannot perceive correctly. We cannot see correctly. And thus the first thing to do is to learn to be equanimous. Pleasant situations can come in life. Unpleasant situations can come in life. Pleasant emotions can come inside of us. Unpleasant emotions can come inside of us. But there is one part of our being which is untouched, calm and tranquil like the spirit within. To be one with that is the basis of finding the right strength to do the right action, to establish a certain equanimity within oneself. And that, Sri Krishna says, it what makes one apt for immortality. Now, what is immortality? Is it the desire to never die? Or immortality is to be in touch with the eternal spirit that is beyond time and space, birth and death, and to allow that spirit to come forefront in our individual and collective being and conquer all of ourselves and all of earth, so that the entire creation on earth is made in the image of the eternal spirit. And it is this eternal spirit that brings beauty, true divine universal love, wisdom, and a true sense of power. That is the immortality that we are seeking. Actually, if one has a desire for immortality, then the very point of immortality gets defeated. The very point of immortality is to conquer the self and its desires. It's immortality not of the ego, but that of the spirit, which is already immortal. And it is out of that that the correct perception and the correct will and work arises. And thus, the one who seeks to act in alignment with the divine will, in alignment with the Dharma, has got to learn how to step back from one's emotions and sensations and the external circumstances and whatever that is happening in one's life, into deeper inner tranquil calmness and silence. And out of that potent and pregnant silence, the right perception and the right impulsion will take birth. And that man, on one hand, is firm and wise, on the other hand, the most courageous. And like Sri Krishna says, the lionhearted. We think of equanimity as indifferent to the emotions and the spice and the rasa of life. But actually, it takes immense courage. It takes one to be lion-hearted, to be truly equanimous. And equanimity is not a certain sense of numbness and coldness to emotions. That is an improper understanding of equanimity. Sri Krishna is not asking Arjuna to become heartless and cold and go ahead and kill your loved ones. No, that's not what he is asking him to do. He is asking him to rest into a wise and firm, tranquil calmness and equanimity, so that he may be open to the right thought, the right emotion, and the right action. Equanimity doesn't make us dry and cold and heartless. It makes us contain the emotions powerfully and direct them to the right cause and purpose. So now you tell me, as a seeker, how is it that you can bring equanimity into the very living challenges and battles and dilemmas of your life? How is it that you can learn to step back whenever there is even a little bit of conflict? And conflict doesn't have to happen outwardly. Even if something is disturbing you inwardly, it's a conflict. How can you learn to step back and enter into silence and find a space within for the emergence of the right action? Even better, if right now, in this very moment, as you're watching this video, if there is a conflict living in your life, just step back a little into silence, not feeling attached to your identity, not feeling attached to the story or the narrative that you've created around the situation, not feeling hurt by what the other person said or did to you, but just to step back and see, just to step back into this part of you which is unaffected and see the situation a little bit from a wider perspective, as if it's a situation external to you between two people whom you don't even personally know. And then try and see what is happening and let it go. If there's one part of you that is unable to forgive, that is reacting, let it go. You don't have to accept, you don't have to reject, you don't have to forgive, you don't have to not forgive. Just take a little bit of a distance, the stepping back into quietude within yourself with respect to this situation, into a deeper sense of silence. And then slowly see if you begin to get the right movement emerge inside of you. Look forward to hearing about how stepping back you can use in your life in order to really find a breakthrough in your inner life, in your interpersonal life. Look forward to reading your comments, and I shall see you in the next video. I hope you found the video to be useful. If you would like to continue your journey with us, if you would like to help us support you in your journey, click on the link below and join us for a 2.5-hour signature masterclass called the Awakening Karma Yogi Workshop, where we run you through the fundamental stages of awakening to become a Karma Yogi, to be peaceful inside and successful outside. We talk about Swabhava, our true nature, and Swadharma, our soul's purpose, which are the building blocks of a life affirming, not a life negating spirituality. So if you found this video to be useful, click on the link below and I shall see you at the workshop.